Hello everyone, this is John for PokerVIP.com and we're back with the Grinding TonyBet series. I believe we're on part 4 or 5 right now, but who cares? It's 24 parts in total, and we're basically just showing you how to go about grinding on a site like TonyBet. And well, I think the obvious question is, well, what is a site like TonyBet then? And a site like TonyBet is kind of one of those sites that has come along. It's new, it's fresh. There's not as many players as, say, like a PokerStars or an iPoker. But what there is there are great games, and there are, and there's great value, and there's great software, and everything's really good. So you can make money on here way more often and way more likely than you could on a site like that. You're going to get paid rake back weekly. It actually varies from how much you've won to how much you've lost. You're going to get anywhere from 25 to 80%. You're going to get the Poker VIP rake race. You're going to get a 10k TonyBet rake race, a 2k bonus, a 1k reload. So there's just loads of reasons to go ahead and play and loads of money to be made. Now, the other thing is the player types. Who we're playing versus and how to play against them. No hoods, no stats. You're probably not going to recognize the names. And also what you're going to notice straight away is, say, look at this top left table. I'm on a 6-handed table. There's 5 of us, and 4 of them are playing on their mobile phones, which you can see from this little, gadget there. That basically means they're playing on their Android or iOS, their iPads, their iPhones, whatever. So generally people who are going to be playing on iPads and iPhones are going to be of a specific type. And that type is probably going to be a recreational player, somebody in a rush, somebody just wanting to spin it up and gamble a little bit. And that is probably the best way I can go ahead and put it. So it's, playing a lot of landmines, it's kind of a way to explain it. We're going to get in weird situations. People are going to, not really stick to a correct, good strategy. And we basically just need to overcome that. So anyway, we've been playing a few hands there. Everything pretty straightforward. And now I'm just going to talk about all the hands. This guy opened. One thing to recognize is he only started with 35 big blinds pre-flop. And yes, it's still fine to call in position with such a playable hand. I'm going to fold this, fold that. Okay, so queens here. We min-raised, we've been called, and we've been squeezed. Now, our hand is so strong here. 6-handed, this guy's on his phone. Again, maybe that means something, maybe it doesn't. Obviously, there's going to be some serious players. But essentially here what I'm thinking is, okay, I have queens, we're 4-handed, and we have 100 big blinds. I know people don't really like looking at poker like that, but that is the simplistic way. That is the way to do it. So, it's a strong hand. I want to get it in. There's only 2 hands that beat me, and there's lots of hands I beat. So I want to get value. So I'm making this 4-bet to get it in. And in we go. And also on the other table, in we go with a bottom set. So this guy jammed on us with ace-jack, and oh wow, okay, we're up against ace-jack on both tables. That's weird. That doesn't happen very often, and we held both times. So I feel like everything I've just said has, come to fruition. On this bottom right table, the guy flopped top, whatever. He was kind of short-stacked. I think that's a good all-in by him. The left-hand table, that guy just decided, yep, ace-jack, let's go. And, just kind of flicked it in. It's when you don't see on many sites anymore. People aren't just getting ace-jack in. And one thing to remember is I've played one hand. I've literally sat down there, I folded, and then I 4-bet queens. And he's been really happy to just stick it in. So yeah, it's a very fun site, and lots of money can be made. It's just funny how we got ace-jack in there. I was looking, I was like, okay, I'm all in, ace-jack, ace-jack. So that's a really good start to the video, 2 wins. I noticed, I think, both for those times they only ran it once. You can actually run it twice on this site, which lots of people do. And running it twice, it's the same over a long run. It just limits short-term variance, basically, as long as they're not raking it. $7-9 suited. I just checked. I was thinking, well, I'll take the free card, try and hit my flush, but sadly didn't get there. So now it's going to be a check fold. And Jack 10. Oh, Queen Deuce. Okay. One thing, to really point out here is anyone can have anything at any time. I would say to always treat this like a live game. And I know this is like part 4 or 5, and I'm going into it, even more than I was in part 1. But, it's a refresher, and maybe someone's just starting off in this video. But yeah, anyone can do anything at any time. And what I mean by that is I have a strategy called PDDS. And it's just people do dumb shit. And it sounds so simple again. Like everything I say generally is simple. But the amount of times you're like, he shouldn't have this. But on TonyBet they certainly can. And you just have to be prepared that people will do really dumb shit. You know, what's this guy putting with on the river? Obviously we can't do anything because we missed our straight flush draw. But, you know, it's all good. We're going to fold. So, you know, there, if I had like an 8 or a jack, I think I just, you know, always call. I mean, certainly a jack, probably an 8. Maybe some ace highs as well. So you're just going to have to change. You have to adjust. You really have to pay attention to the table and go with it from that. Jack Queen here, by the way, very easy peel. Notice he did 4 exit pre-flop. Most people with 3 exits, that could mean he's a recreational. The fact he's on the phone could back that up. But anyway, once he checks, we're just going to go ahead and bet. I mean, I'm not too sure what he's going to get at. And he's actually gone ahead and check raised here 5x. And for me, this is just always going to be a call. I have top pair. I have it for, you know, we're four-handed. We have that jack high backdoor flush draw. It's just going to be a call. And I probably won't find many folds in this run out. You know, we're not too sure what this guy's up to. It's all very strange, all very odd. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to check the turn. And the reason I'm checking the turn is I essentially want to bluff catch and also, you know, maybe go for river value. If I check and he check jams, it's a kind of weird spot. But I think, you know, if I bet and he check, you know, goes for the check jam, I think I have to call. But I actually prefer just checking here and sort of taking the risk. And one thing I was going to say there is the only card I don't want to see is an ace or a king that's not a club. But again, you know, it's very specific. And what he's done here is he's now given us 5-1. He can show it with anything here, and our call is fine because we're getting such a good price. He's so random. We have a strong hand. We block some draws and whatever. But raising would be bad for value and a bluff, so it's just a call. And he actually shows up with aces. So there, it wasn't that dumb. It wasn't that weird. But just a strange line to take. And that's why I was saying, you know, on the turn, I don't want to just go ahead and bet and then have to call it off. Because I'm really not too sure I have the best hand. Not too sure what this guy's up to. I would rather just sit back in position and go ahead and call. Now, here's another weird one. We're going to have to fold here because we're not getting the right price. But what is someone overbet jamming with and then just snap calling with? It's a shame we have to fold here. Do we have to fold? Yeah, we have to fold. Because we have so many outs against like ace-king with the king of hearts. But it's just going to be a fold. Yeah, it's actually 2 pair versus a pair and a flush draw. And the flush draw gets there. So, again, it's kind of like one of those spots. Why would someone jam such a strong hand? It's just because, you know, they're on their phone. It's easy to click all in, you know. They're just trying to spin up, you know, all of that good stuff. So yeah, pretty crazy start to the video. I mean, really crazy sight. This isn't like a pre-recorded video. I'm playing this live. You can probably tell because my attention sort of like, yeah, I'm trying to follow 4 tables. I'm trying to talk. I'm trying to fold here. I'm trying to call here. I'm trying to explain. It's real time. This is literally not set up. And I've said this in a few videos before on TonyBet. Nothing special. I've not planted players. I've not, you know, chased a fish. I literally opened TonyBet. I opened a 10 at L table and 325 in L tables because there were simply seats free. Now, one thing, again, like I said about the phone, top left table, I'm sat at a 6-handed table, 5 are on their phone. You're never going to get this. Top right table, everyone's on their phone. Bottom right table, 2 out of 3 of my opponents. And bottom left, everyone again. It's just, you know, when you're thinking, yeah, but someone can play well on their phone, they absolutely can. But they're simply not going to play as well as someone who's grinding on their computer, sat in a comfy chair with a mouse. Because it's not as easy to click buttons. You know, they're going to be like, you know, overbetting. They're going to be jamming. They're going to be rushing. And they're probably going to be watching TV. They might be in a car. They might be like, you know, in a casino doing something else. Although I'm talking, I just said, you know, it's hard for me to multitask. If you're just a grinder and you're just sat and your whole job is to, you know, stare at 4 screens, the edge is just, you know, it's insane. You know, the edge is just massive. Obviously, you want to be note-taking. You want to be following it all. Going to go ahead and min raise the 10 jack and fold the 10-7. I min raised the button. You know, if anyone's curious, button's always a min raise. Everywhere else is a 3x. Going to go ahead and isolate on the left-hand table. And basically isolating, you know, somebody limps, you know, they're probably not going to have that strong of a hand. We want to get it heads up versus them with somewhat of a strong hand. It's way better to do it in position, but everything in poker is way better to do in position. So even out of position like this, you know, a hand as strong as King 10, you know, when we block a lot of big hands with it as well, then we should definitely be doing it. Bottom left, I'm raising. This guy's limped. He's probably going to call a lot out of position, and we're going to be in position again with a strong hand. So we're just getting value. King 10, turn top 2, so I'm going to go ahead and continue to bet. Somewhere around, you know, half to 2/3 pot will be my general sizing. King Jack, I'm just going to go ahead and bet. King 10 here, I don't love the fact that the flush got there. But I'm just going to go ahead and bet and take it from there. I don't want him to raise. Going to go ahead and fold King 5. Check the 3-7. Like the 3-7, I'm not raising to like bluff or to, you know, value raise like I was doing with the King Jack. You know, it's just a real junk hand, which I'm actually kind of happy to just like be done with. You know, like I could chase it, whatever, but as you can see there, the guy had the nut straight, whatever. Good thing is that we now know he limps blind versus blind with, what was it? 10-6 offsuit. So that's obviously awesome to know. Three, 4 going to fold. 3-10 going to be fold. Eight, 3 we're going to muck. 7-4 here. Okay, so this is a really interesting spot where basically I've isolated with actually quite a weak hand, but the main point was I'm in position and it's playable. You know, suited gap connector. Now we're flop 2 pair on a very, 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 very dry board. You know, king high, dry board, generally not going to be good for this guy. We block lots of hands. There is a, you know, a thought of do we check or do we bet? I would always say go with betting because lots of these players can be very sticky, which just basically means they're going to call quite wide. They're going to hit something here and there and so on. But yeah, for that, I prefer to bet. But you'd notice I kept my bet really small. It was slightly less than half pot, around 40%. So GTO people, balanced players would say, yeah, but you should probably bet, you know, nuts or nothing the same. I disagree. We're in position. We're against the fish. Let's go ahead and make some money. Now, this is absolutely TonyBet summed up. This guy's now just fed up. He's like, yeah, balls, I've got €5 left. I'm, you know, breaks running out. Time to go do something. I'm just going to try and lose this money. Obviously, we can't call because we're not Doyle Brunson. But, yeah, if you've seen any of the previous parts, you'll have seen that happening a lot. And that is exactly, you know, their, you know, mind behind it. Is like, it's time to go, time to lose this money or double up. And now he's just going to go all in every hand. Do not leave the table. Do not think he's, you know, whatever. Just, he is literally just going crazy. Ace-8 suited I raised. If he jammed, would I have called? Yes, it's 20 big blinds. And, you know, I just assume Ace-8 suited's ahead of his range. Wouldn't be getting the greatest price, but I don't like to leave €5 out there on the dance floor. I checked the flop because, well, it really missed me and it may have really hit him. You know, he's going to have lots of straight draws, lots of pairs. So I was happy to just check back, take a free card. You know, there's lots of good turn cards. 7 of spades, 9 of spades, an ace, and 8. You know, whatever it might be. Get a check turn. And river I will call if he bets. I would have expected him to bet a 10 or a jack by now. 6-7 gets there, I guess. And I'm going to be cheeky here. I'm going to go for the min bet and just try and get some value out of him with anything that he holds. And if he raises, I will make the call. King 7, we're going to go ahead and fold. Actually, we're going to call it a min raise. We're three-handed. That should be a defend. Interesting that he checked back the flop. He might be going for a delayed C-bet, which I would fold to. But I'm basically happy here to check down with King High. He's going to be checking down with Queen Highs and Jack Highs sometimes. If he bets, I will be folding though. And we do check down and we win. Okay, we know what we're doing here, guys. I'm actually going to go for 125, and I am conscious that the original limper only has €3. So if he jammed, I would be calling because I'm getting the price and I have a jack and a queen in my hand. But the main thing here is, people just can't be like limping and us checking jack queen. We can raise and take down the pot. We can create a pot and be in control. We can c-bet. We can rep ace highs and king highs and all of that good stuff. 7-5 here was quite close. Just I thought, well, he just fired last time. He didn't go all in, so I'm going to go ahead and try again now. This time he goes all in, so maybe going to have to tighten up my button range there versus blind hooks. 8-9 here, I'm going to just call. I mean, we could raise there as an ISO, but 8-9 does play well enough for like a call out of position there. Definitely don't hate that. Going to go ahead and fold, and raise. Queen 10 we raise, king high flop, c-bet and take it should get the job done. He calls, which is interesting. I think he's going to have some ace high floats, so I'm just going to go ahead and bet again. 6 I'm going to raise, and I'm going to call this guy pretty quick. Flush gets there. I'm not too sure I can make this guy fold a king. So I actually think I'm just going to be check and done with this. Say it was like 8-3-3 with 2 diamonds and the jack of diamonds. I would go ahead and bet it. But I think people get stunned with a king there. And I think he's going to have lots of kings or lots of flushes. So I gave up. 9-10 I opened. Flop second pair on a wet board. Bottom right table. Going to just check it back. 10 jack I'm just going to call. Same sort of situation as the 8-9 before. Now 9-10 I'm going to go ahead and bet. I assume people would have led with a queen or a flush, so time to just protect my hand. And we take it down. Delayed c-bet works nice there. The pot's controlled. We're in position. Actually, were we in position? Yes, we were in position. We get to see what people do. And we're going to win a lot of pots that way. As soon as everyone starts checking, it's like, okay, we have the best hand. Like, time to do something about it. 6-10 versus 8s there. Okay, I mean, doesn't surprise me. Do 6 again. It's kind of like the 7-3 hand. Is like I'm kind of just done with this. It does feel very weak and passive, so maybe it's something I have to tighten up. Because like 9 deuce just won there, which sucks. Like maybe we shouldn't be letting him. But again, it's kind of like pick your spots, pick your battles, learn a bit more about the player. Last time we checked the nuts on the river, this time we checked 9 high, so I don't think much thought's going in it. I don't think he's put much thought in what he's doing, basically, so I think I'm happy to just go ahead and check there and then maybe take some stabs at some future pots. Going to open 10 jack under the gun. I definitely open slightly wider on sites like this. Going to fold the 3-8 suited. And we get raised here. I mean, look at the size of that raise. It's just like, yeah, 450. And it's actually the same guy here, blind hooks. He's lost the plot. He's all in on the other table. He's in a rush. He's got to go. It's dinner time. And, it will literally be that. It will literally be he has to go, and it's just time to get the money in. And wow. Proves me wrong. He actually wakes up with kings there. I thought he was going to take a really bad beat with a spade. But yeah, I mean, when he's been all in before, he's not had kings. I think that's just, we finally see that one kind of thing. That's pretty funny. That is pretty funny indeed. Here's me like, yeah, he's going to have any 2, and then he shows up with kings, but I think Gee Whiz just ran bad. I bet my 10s. I'm going to go ahead and check the turn, pot control, see what he does. Last time he was calling with the king and he checked it back on the river. Now he's betting half pot. I'm going to go ahead and call once and make my mind up on the river. Obviously he could have a straight as well. He could have a set. He could have 2 pair. He could just have a king. Bet 475. I think if he was bluffing to go bigger, so I think we can just give him the benefit of the doubt there. 7-8 suited, I definitely want to bet. There are lots of good turn cards for me that I can go ahead and represent. This isn't one of them, though. So I'm going to go ahead and check. Kings. This guy limps pretty wide, so I'm going to make it really small. Just 3x and 7-8 suited. He's put me in a coffin here. I just have to fold because I can't do anything else. Kings, I'm just going to go ahead and bet. And I'm going to bet really small again here, actually. Basically just try and get him to call me with something. Get him to float me or, maybe get him to spaz raise. I just don't believe in the checking back, basically. I always think it's better to bet small than to check back. Hasn't worked for me this video, but overall, I'd say it has. Jack's going to go ahead and raise. Not blind versus blind here. Not too sure what he's limping with, like mid-position. But Jack's just want to go ahead and start raising it up and getting some money in there, getting some value for my hand. King 7. Gee whiz, I'm not too sure how loose he's playing. King 10's interesting here. Going to go ahead and float. Jack's pretty interesting spot. Prefer betting than checking. I'm going to go ahead and be one and done with the King 7. Make the straight here with King 10, but obviously not that confident I have the best hand, so I'm just going to go ahead for a call. River's pretty interesting now. Hopefully he just checks and we can check back. It's actually now bet 1. This is really confusing. But you know, the whole people do dumb shit thing, I think we have to call him over straight, even on a board this bad. And yeah, he just had ace queen. And that's exactly what I mean about people do dumb shit. Sometimes you just go click the call button. And King 7 we're going to fold. King 8 suit I'm going to raise here for sure because, well, there's a blind poster, there's a limper, you know, there's lots of good stuff going on there. Jacks I'm going to check. I'm really not too sure if I have the best hand here. I think people would have, like, bet the river with a queen or a flush, but I don't think I can get caught by anything worse, so just taking the showdown. And was actually against King Jack there for a very interesting float. That is a shame, but yeah, betting the turn just doesn't make sense. King 8 here, I mean, this guy called. It's kind of a sucky position, but we have King High, and we just have to go with it at this point because he can fold, or he can call with worse. Sadly, he has the best hand, but we can hit a King or an 8, and we're running it twice. But, you know, he could show up there with, like, 5, 6 of hearts. You know, just call it off or fold. Sadly, though, we lose both runs, but I'm happy with the overall play there. It's not a spot you're going to get in that often, so don't worry too much about figuring out if that's like super correct or not. Just from my experience, you know, generally they're going to show up there with a load of shit. They're going to fold sometimes, or sometimes they might be ahead with like pocket threes or, you know, even a jack. But we do have some outs, of course. Gonna just start raising here now. I think this guy just limps super wide, and we're going to get a lot of folds. So why the heck not? Okay, so he's now called, which was not expected, but certainly not ruled out, and he's now led pot on a6, 7, 10, so I'm going to go ahead and float because I have a good shot to the nuts. And a jack might be good as well. The turn card now is going to be a fold. I'm not getting the right price, and he could have a very strong hand. I mean, when you're thinking about like what he could have, 2 pair, a straight, 1 pair, nothing, a gut shot, you know, it really can be as wide as that, but when you're holding nothing yourself, then it's probably going to be best to fold. Gonna just carry on raising this guy's limps now. I think he just limps with a lot of worse hands than King 9, and I think he plays pretty poorly post-flop, so we're going to get in the streets with him, basically. He goes ahead for a call. I'm going to just check here, basically. I think I'm going to have the best hand a lot. And did you notice how quickly he checked back? So I'm just going to check again and basically see if I can get him to bluff now. I don't think he's going to call because of how quick he checked back. So the idea was, like, let him bluff. I think my 9's good. I think river as well, I'm just going to try and induce a bluff. So I literally don't think anything worse can call. So we're going to go for the induce. We're going to snap, and he's going to show 10-4. So that plan worked really well. I think that's a spot many people might bet the river or bet the turn or something. This guy who had check fold ticked. You know, if he hits a jack or a queen or whatever his miracle card can be, then so be it. But yeah, just like total ownage there. Jack 9, I'm going to fold. I mean, I'm going to check. I just don't think I can get this guy to fold anything. And he shows ace 10. Could have maybe got him to fold ace high. Maybe. 6-3, we're going to muck. I love this site. I'm sure everyone can tell now that I love this site. You know, it's a very weird game in the sense of that, like, when you're playing high-level players, you're thinking a lot. But sometimes when you're playing the lowest-level players, you're thinking a lot more. Because, you know, when you're playing the higher-level guys, lots of stuff's standard. It's like, you've been in that situation a million times before. But, you know, on this site, you don't run into, like, the same situation time and time again. They're going to fold to the lead there. Just a very bad flop for my hand. King Deuce, we're going to fold. Queen 7, we're going to fold. Jack 3, we're going to fold. 3-5, we're going to fold, and Jack 9, we're not going to defend versus a 4x. It's pretty close, actually. pretty close. I think we're going to opt to fold. Leave some comments and reviews as well, guys. I'd like to hear your replies and everything. Ace 4 suited, we could go for a squeeze here. I think that's about right. Gee Whiz might fold. Svedges might go if there's any 2 out of position. That's certainly not a bad result for us either. Get called by the original Razor, which is not ideal, but we get a very good flop for what we represent. So I'm just going to bet pretty small. And we can bet really small here because we can just basically represent a King 8-3 rainbow flop very well. We're going to have more aces, kings, and ace king than he's going to have, is the simplest way of putting it. And yeah, he gets a fold. So that's kind of a way we can be balanced as well. You know, we can definitely be balanced in spots like that, betting our some things and our nothings. 7-5 suited, not something I do a lot. I'm going to limp the button. I'm going to defend my button. Limping strategy, I am not 100% clued up on. But I think if you are ever going to limp, this is the spot to do it. And sadly, we've been squeezed, which is very good by Claudio. You know, he's going to win that pot a lot. We could maybe start getting funky there, but I think that would just be bad overall. Going to go ahead and isolate my ace-10 suited. And the queen 8 here, I'm just going to go ahead and bet just over half pot. Gee Whiz folds. Queen 7, we're going to raise. And we flop a flush draw. And we're just going to go ahead and bet it. And take down the pot. So like I say, this is a 24-part video series, 4 per month. We're just going to really crush TonyBet. I'm going to check the Jack 8. You know, blind nooks is different to Sveders. We don't really know what this guy's limping. I'm going to fold this flop. I'm going to bet the ace-10. I mean, the guy limp called. He could again have anything. But we're going to get plenty of folds here. And if he calls, then we can hit an ace or a 10, or we can start repping some like Jack, Queens, and Kings. And if he raises, we'll just go ahead and muck. But we do get that fold, which is the best outcome. Well, I mean, the best outcome was he's called, we hit an ace, and we get value on 2 more streets. But in that specific moment, that is absolutely what we're after. 7-3 suited are going to fold. 7-9 we're going to fold. Ace deuce, yeah, I mean, we're definitely going to just raise this. And the jack, same thing. I think we can just go 125. Good flop for ace deuce. I keep saying, but I don't want to check back, and I still want to stick to that. I would rather bet small than check back. Jack's how you raise and get a really bad board, and again, I'm conscious this guy only has 64 cents. I will be calling here with my gut shot and pair. Even though Blykus has called, I could still have the very best hand. And I'm getting the price anyway. This guy now min bets. I mean, he could just have anything. So again, I'm going to call, assuming I can be ahead enough of the time when getting 20-1. 10s here. I'm going to just go ahead and bet the king high flop. And I'm going to call the jacks. We're going to run into Blynux has a king. Okay, fair enough. And he wins it all. So I was actually in a really bad spot there. But when you're getting over 20-1 with jacks against a dummy, then you should probably just be calling. But anyway, we're going to call it a video there. That is it for part whatever this is. I'm not even keeping track of parts. It's the same thing. Real poker, real strategy, real time. No hoods, no help. Just good old-fashioned get in, grind, and hope for the best. So good luck at the tables. Get signed up to TonyBet, and I'll see you for the next part. Goodbye.